Good morning, Fraser Road Church of God. Today is day 170. We're in Ecclesiastes chapters 1 through 6. This book is possibly one of the most unusual and difficult to understand books in the Bible. Solomon's mindset, heart, and relationship with God is in a difficult place during this time frame. He has definitely lost his way and believes overall that life is transitory and unsatisfying. He states, "The sun goes up, then goes down, and hastens to the place it arose." This is very evident when he said to his heart, "I will test you with mirth. We will call it entertainment, amusement, happiness, a sort of free-for-all." Okay, tell me, how does this work? He states he gratified his flesh with wine, most likely excess, let his eyes see everything, while guarding his heart with wisdom so as to understand what the sons of men do under heaven all the days of their lives. We know that biblically we are to guard our heart, our eyes, and the lust of our flesh. We would say that this was foolish to allow these things into his life, and wisdom would be to guard his heart. But then, why do we allow ourselves to be put in potentially compromising positions and situations? We are all guilty to one extent or another at some point in time of putting ourselves in positions where we open a door that potentially could be bad for our walk and our relationship with God. The number of situations are unlimited. Some things in themselves are okay, but if it goes into excess, it could lead to sin and or be an idol that we place above our relationship with God. Possibly just a few beers in a surrounding where there may be pressure to drink in excess that could ruin our testimony or godly influence for the kingdom. Possibly by a movie that we know we should not watch because it will not be good for our soul and or our spirit man. Maybe it could be eating too much exercise, too much of any activity, whether it's boating, four-wheeling, TV, YouTube, or our job, our career, video gaming, or even gaining wealth. The list goes on and on. Many things are for our enjoyment and are okay with boundaries and or moderation, but in excess, they can become an idol. Some things that are slightly gray seem to be fun and okay at first, but unguarded can lead us into stepping into quicksand and take us down. Solomon then lists all of his accomplishments and acquisitions. He thought that his heart had rejoiced in all this, but soon verses later, he came to the conclusion that these things were vain, empty, or valueless. Then verses later, he seems to understand the end result of the wise and the fool, that wisdom exceeds folly as light excels darkness. Yet in the next few verses, he states that, as I would put it, oh well, the same thing happens in the end to all of them. They die. That there is no more remembrance of the wise than the fool. Both are forgotten. Solomon definitely has lost track of his purpose in life and his relationship with God that directs his life. I think that this type of feeling and or attitude is frequently seen nowadays, more often than in previous years. People are unhappy at their work. They feel no value at their work. Many feel no value to their family or society. They feel that they are just surviving, suffering, or state in a sarcastic way, "I'm just living the dream." They feel or do not have very functional families, and they have no guidance or compass to get their family headed in the right direction or themselves in the right direction. One day just goes to the next. Survival of just living day to day without hope, or more importantly, without purpose. But this is where God comes into play. When we have a relationship with Him, hear His voice, and follow the leading of the Holy Spirit, we actually enter into a glorious purpose when we actually believe, Colossians 1:27, that it is Christ in us the hope for glory. When we come into alignment with His will to be done on this earth, regardless of the amount of successes or failures we have, we now have His promise that we can stand upon. We may have difficulties and upsets, but we have Romans 8:28. We know that all all things work together for good to those who love God and those who are called according to his purpose. He predestined us to be conformed to the image of Jesus. That's awesome. We're predestined, we're called, we're justified, and glorified. That's us. If God is for us, who can be against us? So we chose and choose to live our lives in obedience to what he tells us to do. He does state that obedience is better than sacrifice. So whatever we do in obedience to the Lord, according to his word and guidance from his Holy Spirit, we know that it will have an eternal impact. We may not see it, but it is okay with us, because when we are part of his will on this earth, his eternal heavenly will is being accomplished. That's awesome. Our striving then ends, and we can rest in just being obedient to do what he has called us to do, to love him. We have freedom in our lives. Now, the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, and that's our freedom. Whatever you do, your job, your career, maybe you have a business to run, tasks you do, interactions you have with other people, we know our lives are a part of his great plan for this world. As well, we know that his word tells us about all the peace, the blessings, the honor, the grace that he gives us, and that what we have when we're obedient to him, and the eternal reward that awaits us in heaven. We are on the winning team. We are picked to play, not ride the bench, and it is okay if we strike out every now and then, just as long as we are trying. Nobody gets kicked off the team as long as we listen to the coach. Have a blessed day.